What's going on, guys? Unknown Player here, and today we're back with a bunch more Forsaken stuff to talk about and everything going down recently. There are quite a few currently unobtainable exotics I want to round up and talk about everything we know so far about them. Also, some very interesting details on the Malfeasance exotic that have just come out recently. Going to be rounding up all the latest patches and updates Bungie have dropped and will be dropping very soon, as well as even more raid secrets you definitely want to know about. So, as always, several topics in this one video. Of course, if you enjoy it, a like rating is much appreciated, and let's get into it. So let's talk about the Malfeasance exotic hand cannon. This is a weapon that nobody has just yet inside the game. It's most likely time gated, or it could just be a secret that nobody's found. But I mean, just about everything to do with this weapon has been found except for how to trigger the questline itself. So it is most likely going to be time gated. Now, something that was recently found that is a very important location to its exotic questline, and somewhere we're going to go inside the Dreaming City to actually get the weapon. So this is a place called Callum's Grave, and it's actually the very first quest step for getting the Malfeasance, and this is inside the Corrupted Strike. So I believe the first person to actually post footage of this is someone called Mercury Reigns, and they showed a little guide and tutorial of how to actually get here, which of course I'll link down below in the description. So what's actually up here is pretty strange, but it does tie into the lore and backstory of Shin Malfa, the owner of the Last Word and the Golden Gun, and also the Drifter and the Shadows of Yore. But essentially the Shadows of Yore are kind of like a cult of dark and evil guardians that worship the darkness and also worship Dredgen, the original owner of Thorn. Dredgen did a bunch of bad stuff, and he was killed by a guy called Shin Malfa, who is believed to be the original kind of first caster of the Golden Gun and also the owner of the Last Word hand cannon. So he killed Dredgen, and this kind of cult called the Shadows of Yore followed in his footsteps. So Shin Malfa and his Last Word are still out there right now hunting down the Shadows of Yore. They're basically enemies. It's also worth noting that because the Shadows of Yore do worship the dead Dredgen, they have actually built their own kind of replicas of Thorn to try and be like him. So that's where Malfeasance is going to come into this and why it looks so similar to Thorn. Now, the really interesting part of this story is that the Drifter, the Gambit guy, is actually a part of the Shadows of Yore, this really dark and evil cult that we definitely should not be allies with. So where this place comes into it is that there was a guy called Callum, who is a member of the Shadows of Yore and an old friend of the Drifter. Callum was here arguing with his ghost shell, who was not happy with all the dark and evil stuff he was doing recently, so they were here having an argument. Callum, I guess, got sick of the argument and sick of his own ghost, so he pulls out a Thorn spike, those massive metal spikes that Thorn shoots, and he stabs his own ghost shell through the eye, killing it with the spike. So as we all now know, thanks to Cade, of course, when your ghost shell dies, you are on your own, and if you die, you're dead forever, no comeback. So you remember I mentioned Shin Malfa, the famous gunslinger with the Last Word and the Golden Gun. It's at this point he's been tracking Callum, and he pops out from behind a rock and basically casts a Golden Gun and smokes him, leaving the shadow on the wall. This is a really good close-up screenshot posted by someone called Fatlantis. You can see this is the charred remains of Callum against the wall, and also the hole in his chest from the Golden Gun, and also on the floor there is his ghost shell that he stabbed before getting killed. The actual in-game Grimoire card for the story is called the Shadow on the Wall, which is a pretty clever name, because obviously there's a Shadow of Yore that literally got turned into a shadow on the wall. So now you know the backstory of this place, Callum's Grave, and what went on here. We can talk about the Malfeasance and how it ties into his questline. So at some point, whenever Bungie unlocks this, we're going to be able to go here and pick up some component for a weapon that Callum stole from the Drifter and return it to him. This could be in its own contained questline when we go here, or it could just be when the Nightfall is the Corrupted Strike itself, who knows, but it's down to Bungie when they unlock it. So after we've been to Callum's Grave and given the Drifter his weapon part, the next step is going to be a very special primeval is going to spawn during Gambit, and the boss's name is actually Malfeasance. As you can probably guess, we are going to have to kill this special Malfeasance primeval, take out his heart, and then give it to the Drifter, and there is also an emblem for killing this special Malfeasance boss. So for the final step, it says you've been in Gambit for a while now, you've met the enemies of humanity head-on and made them pay. The Drifter has rewarded you handsomely for the motes of dark you've collected. Now it's time to see the culmination of your partnership with the Drifter, and this is going to give you the Malfeasance hand cannon. Now, of course, we can't see the exact requirement or objective for this step, but it does say you've been at Gambit for a while now, which makes me think you have to play a lot of Gambit, which also makes me think this may be the step we have to do 2 Infamy rank resets. All of these quest steps detail what happens after you've done the requirement for that actual step. So the first one, finding the component in Callum's Grave, is after you've already been there, of course, collected it. The next part says you've defeated a powerful primeval, again, after you've done that. And then after that, it says you've been at Gambit for a while now. So whatever it is, it means play a lot of Gambit, basically. But yeah, that is the final step of the quest line. And of course, after that, you do get the hand cannon itself. So no more after that. This gun definitely has some very interesting lore and backstory behind it. But of course, as always, let me know your thoughts and theories and speculations down below in the comment section. What do you think? Now, the Malfeasance, of course, is not the only exotic in the game right now that is unobtainable. There are still quite a few others we're waiting on. There is also an exotic sparrow called the Harbinger's Echo, which of course is very Taken themed and looks very similar to the Wisp of the Worm Sniper. All we know so far part about this is that it comes from an activity inside the Dreaming City, so it could be the 3rd week of the corruption cycle, it could be the 3rd Ascendant challenge, or it could be something else. We do know it is definitely not the reward from the Corrupted Strike as a Nightfall, and also not in any way tied to the raid either, so either way it's some way tied to the Dreaming City and some activity I haven't found yet. And the reason I do like this one is because it does come guaranteed with the fast spawn perk all the time, so you're guaranteed the best perk on sparrows. It's the same as that exotic LC Bray one from Warmind, so if you don't have a sparrow with fast spawn, this is definitely one to get. Another exotic we're still waiting for would be the Wish Ender bow. Of course, this thing has got very massive lore significance. I pointed out in a previous video how this bow used to belong to someone called Zer Ido, this Ahamkara Slayer, and at some point she was thought dead and this bow went missing. It belonged to her, so we're definitely have to go and recover it and find the bow wherever it is. On top of that, Bungie have confirmed numerous times that there definitely is going to be some kind of Whisper the Worm or Black Spindle type quest, so some sort of exotic weapon with a time-gated quest line that's of course very cool, on the same level as a spindle. And they've kind of alluded that there may be multiple of these weapons, so it could be a returning weapon like the Last Word for example, plus a new exotic we've never heard of. But either way, I definitely wouldn't expect those to come around for at least another month or two from now, because of course we've still got a bunch more Dreaming City content to go through and Forsaken itself. And of course the Whisper the Worm did not come out until 2.5 months after Warmind, so think of that time frame. We've still got quite a while to go. But of course when stuff does come out for these secret exotic quest lines, and also of course Malfeasance and Wish Ender and Harbinger's Echo, I'll let you guys know right here on the channel, so stay tuned. So next up we're going to talk about changes, fixes and updates that Bungie are working on for the game and things you should be aware of. First is a very strange thing, kind of a stealth nerf, but this is in regards to scout rifles. DMG made a post saying at the beginning of Forsaken they reduced all scout rifle damage across the board for PvE, and then of course on top of that was the explosive rounds bug, which also reduced their damage even further. Now since then they did fix the explosive rounds bug, so that damage has been restored, but of course still you may have noticed scout rifle damage feels very weak in PvE right now. So to further address the player feedback, they're planning to increase scout rifle damage by 15% in a future patch. Stay tuned for updates. So pretty hefty increase in damage. I'm wondering what they reduced it by in the first place, but it is also pretty concerning that they reduced them by that much, 15% in the first place. That's a massive decrease, and scout rifles definitely weren't overpowered at all compared to the other weapons. I did look through the patch notes of the 2.0 update and every update since then, and none of them said anything about scout rifle decrease in damage, so not sure where this came from. But I do remember using a scout rifle in the Last Wish raid for Riven's Eyes, and I switched to a pulse rifle and noticed how much more damage it was doing. It was crazy. So I would definitely say do not use any scout rifles in PvE right now until they release this buff update, because they are completely trash in terms of DPS. There are also some things that I wanted to point out in the latest update that are already inside the game. Firstly is the Oracle offering. So the offering itself is going to go into pursuits and not consumables, so if you're wondering where it's gone, that's where it's going to be from now on. They've also completely removed the weekly bounty that requires you to open it, so that's no longer going to be a thing either. And then of course because of this, Petra's weekly challenge now only requires 2 weekly bounties instead of 3, because there are only 2 now. On top of that, they did also fix the exploit where you could use Telesto in the blind well to just speed through waves, so that's no longer a thing. Honestly, I never really minded when people did that. I feel like blind well does drag on a little bit too long and it's just too repetitive, but either way you can no longer cheese it with Telesto. And then something pretty big but also quite strange is the Ace of Spades exotic quest step that requires the 5 invader kills that a lot of people find quite difficult. This now only requires general enemies or invaders as well, so you can kill anything. I've heard it requires around 100 kills, so it could be anything like dregs or shanks or invaders if you want. If you ask me, I think the reason they've probably done this is because it kind of ruined the entire Gambit game mode when everyone was just sitting around with hand cannons waiting for invaders and not playing the game properly. I'm sure you guys have been in games that people don't really play it properly and they just sit around with the hand cannon waiting for someone to invade so they can kill them, so it's not really kind of good for the mode. But I can also see for those of us that have done this very annoying and grindy quest step, now it's been made a ton easier, of course, after we've done it. But let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section of this change. One final note, but I did say I would update you guys if any more wishes are found inside the Wall of Wishes for the raid, of course. But 2 more have been found since my initial video. The first one is Wish 7, and this does in fact skip you right to Riven, so you can go right to her as a checkpoint. And also Wish number 12 is going to give you a random hologram over your head. So one of them is a Traveler, one of them is kind of weird holographic crown, and another one is this kind of rose crown. They cycle randomly when you die, but these are going to be over you and your fire team members' heads when you do the raid, so something super random. But there you go, that is wish number 12. Like I said, I'll let you guys know if more wishes are found, and I'm sure we're going to get a bunch more just random Easter eggs like this. The later one seems to be pretty strange, but so far there's like 5 or 6 still yet to be found, so I'll let you guys know. But that's going to do it for today's video. As always, I hope you all enjoyed, and if you did, a like rating before you leave would be much appreciated. Lots of content and lots of videos on the way very soon, so if you're new, make sure you are subscribed and no notifications turned on so you don't miss out my videos and can be first to watch them. If you want to follow my Instagram and Twitter. They're linked down below in the description, and this image will take you to a recent video I made. So as always, appreciate you guys for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.